Welcome to the show. Today I just wanted to show the differences between the Atari Flashback 9 Gold and the Atari Flashback 8 Gold 40th Anniversary Edition. Now, other than, of course, these things looking very similar, they're not. And that just comes down to, differences in upgrades. Why would you buy a 9 if you already own an 8? There are going to be some game difference or variance on one over the other, but not much. 90% of the 120 games are going to be identical games from one to the other, which is pretty much concurrent with all Flashback Ataris going forward. They just seem to be repetitive on most of their game lineups, but why would you buy one over the other? So I'm just going to go over the differences between them, and you can make your own decision. Now, one really cool thing about that is I picked up the Flashback 8 Gold for $30 at a Giant Tiger here in Canada. That is an amazing price tag. So if you don't already own one, that is a reason to buy it for sure. Whereas the Atari Flashback 9 Gold, I had to hunt it down to get it for around $60, but they do retail for around $99 Canadian. So here we have the Flashback 8 Gold on the left and the Flashback 9 Gold on the right. Now, right off the bat, differences between the boxes, of course, is it's like this is the Pitball edition, whereas this is the Frogger edition, but it's not quite so, as of course that has Pitfall on the 9 as well. So, which actually, I think it's Pitfall too. I think Pitfall I had to add to it later, so that's kind of interesting. But moving on, the front of the units, as you can see here with the 8, it is a 40th Anniversary Edition. So Flashback Gold 8 Anniversary 40th. And then on the front of the other one, of course, it just says Atari Flashback Gold 9. So there's no real similarity there other than print. You both have your joystick ports in the front. I think that's where the similarities are going to stop. Button layout, everything's all the same. When we look at the back of the 8 Gold, all we're greeted with is a power connector, nothing more. And we have a HDMI on the side, not on the back. And that is about it. When we look at the external shell of the 9, we have an SD slot right here. So you notice there's no SD slot on the 8. I'll get to that. We have HDMI, and we have USB power. So on the 8, it's a regular power adapter, and on the 9, they changed to USB power, which is great because you can pretty much replace it with just about anything. And that is it. So SD and USB power are the big differences. HDMI is at the rear, not on the side. When we go over the joysticks, so here is the 8, here is the 9. So as far as the joysticks go, they look identical, right down to the mapping of the buttons. Everything is identical, except a few things. Right here we have an on-off button. On this one we do not. So no on-off button on the 8 Gold, on-off button on the 9 Gold, which could be a very big plus, because if you move this, chances are, you see the light is lighting up, I hope the thing's catching that. Chances are, if it's moving in any which way or form, you are using the batteries. Another neat little thing, I know it's minor, but you have to remove a screw to take the batteries out on this one, or to put batteries in. And on the 9, they got rid of the screw. You just push, pull, off it goes. Other than that, they're similar. The button layout, again, is all the same. When I try the 8, I find this joystick is very, very loose. Very loose. Versus the 9, which is much stiffer. It's still got a nice smoothness to it, but it's definitely stiffer than the 8 Gold. Both units come with power adapters, both units come with HDMI cables, so as far as out of the box hook them up and go, they're identical, other than a couple things, as in, let's say what I've just mentioned. The Atari Flashback 9 Gold has the SD slot to add all those wonderful games, and you can do that. I'll have a link to the video below showing how that's easily done. And the Flashback 8 Gold 40th Anniversary Edition does not. Does that mean it cannot be modded? False. So this unit can be taken apart. There's a USB spot on the inside that you can solder a USB port or solder your USB wire onto. And then you can add a USB flash drive or whatever you wish there and add your ROMs. So it can still be done, just not as easy as the 9. There's more work to the 8. Maybe one day I'll take some time and do a review or a whole video on it. Other than that, they are identical. Now, when it comes to the games, the game lineups, you're not really going to have a lot of differences in them. So if you're out shopping for an 8 or a 9, I just want to tell you, it pretty much comes down to a certain preference if there's one game on there that you like over the other. Now, this guy here is on sale in Canada at a store called Giant Tiger. And this guy here is $99. So there's a huge jump right there, but access of ease for upgrading, and you have to do work to do the same thing. Game lineup, pretty much the same. They're both sporting 120 games. So guys, there you have it. It just comes down to personal preference. Just wanted to do a short video on it, as I did pick up the Flashback 8 Gold about a week ago, and I felt that, hey, they're similar, but they're not. I'd really like to go over that. And the key things were the power change, so now I can use USB power on the 9, so if I lose my adapter, I'm good, or something happens to it. Whereas with the 8 Gold, it is a standard AC adapter. If you lose it, you're going to hunt for another one or something like it. As far as the controllers go, you have recap on-off button, which is nice on the 9, which isn't on the 8. I found the sticks on the 9 to be stiffer. Now, that's just the one I bought. Who knows what the next person pulls out of the box? They may find their 8 joysticks stiff as well, but I believe there's a difference. I believe the change was made with the 9, as there was complaints of how loose feeling the joysticks were. They do work well, so I'm not knocking the joysticks saying that it's bad. I just find it feels like a worn out original Atari controller, that when you finally have it and you break it in, you got that looseness, and in the beginning it's like wrenching it and it's horrible. Well, it kind of feels like the break-in's already done, but a little too much. That doesn't make it bad, it just makes it something more to get used to. Overall, can't go wrong with either unit if you're an Atari fan, and again, this is classic gaming, people. If you are not an era person from that time frame, the Atari's probably not from you or for you. If you're looking for Nintendo style graphics or anything like that, and that's your vintage level, then go get a Nintendo Mini. Don't buy an Atari. A lot of people buy these thinking that they're going to be, wow, it's new, it's HD. Keep in mind, this stuff is from the 70s and very early 80s. So you have to have a nostalgia for it, or you grew up playing on it because your parents or your grandfather gave one to you or had you playing on it, and that would be the reason for you wanting this. Now, before I go, you may see that I'm wearing a shirt saying Game Over, which is my tagline. At the end of every show, I say Game Over. I'd like to thank Complete Technology Solutions for sending me this shirt. It was a gift from him. I thank you very much. The guy's been nothing but great to me. Don't know, I feel overwhelmed when I get something like this. It's just really cool. And I'm going to put a link to his YouTube channel again at the bottom of this. Please check him out. Please subscribe if you're not. He does some really cool stuff. And he's very giving. Thank you again. Complete Technology Solutions, your friend in the computer business. That might have been his tagline. Anyway, guys, my shirt says it all. It is Game Over.